Yeah, but y'all down that's like, heroes rise, and they rise again. From the front line to leading mates and friends. Oh, this is your season, time to take a stand. Hey, hero makers, legends spreading across the land. Yeah. It's your roof from Tassie, bouncing like a kid at a bunning sausage sizzle on a Saturday morn. Season 3's lit, laptop lifestyle, that show Hero Makers. Season is born from AI funnels to social selling grit. Now it's hero making time. Strap in, this is it, yo. I've hopped Tokyo's back streets, caught the LA glow, bringing yarns from the road, mate. Watch the wisdom flow from the kitchen bench, hustle to the big global stage. We're handing you the keys, now it's time to turn the page. Watch you heroes rise, and they rise again. Yeah. From the front line to leading mates and friends. Oh, this is your season, time to take a stand. Hero makers, then spreading across the land. I'm the pumped up platypus from Sunny QA, more bounce than a kid who spotted the ice cream van. You see, two Wizzy dads, mate, bringing boom source seed, helping legends step up, take the driver's seat. We're not just here to yab a raw, spin you a line. We're handing you the mic so your voice can shine. From Tassie to Tokyo, Goldie to Perth, hero makers worldwide, lifting leaders of worth. Jeff Rule's got the coffee double shot, mate, I'm wide. They platypus at the pool party, still floating our tide. Jeff from barbecues to boardrooms, we bring the yarns and the tools, helping legends lead strong and break all the rules. See heroes rise, and they rise again. Yeah. From the front line to leading mates and friends. Yeah. This is your season, time to take a stand. Hero makers, legends spreading across the land. Grab your brew, your notepad, and your crew. It's the laptop lifestyle dad show. Hero Makers season, bringing heroes out of you. Patty the rule, platypus bringing the tricks. Hero Makers podcast, your daily boom source fix. Then they rise again. Hey, from the front line to leading mates and friends. Oh, this is your season, time to take a stand. Hey, Hero Makers, legends spreading across the land. Heroes rise, then they rise again. Yeah. From the front line to leading mates and friends. Oh, this is your season, time to take a stand. Hey, Hero Makers, legends spreading across the land.
All right. Still going. He's awesome, that one. Gotta love Suno. All right, guys, let me get this one going up here properly. Here we go. We've got the right controls. Jeff Ross here, your caffeinated kangaroo, bouncy into your screen. Gotta love a bit of a funky beat to start a live. I can see some question marks there from, I don't know who our friend here is from China, but it's great to connect with you all. Let us know where you're tuning in from around the globe. And so that's a little intro song that I'm putting together. I'm creating some music videos to go along with that song, playing around with Google Flow, and so Video 3, as other people call it, and putting together a bit of a music video. So that's the beat, that's the lyrics. With thank you to Suno.com, and I've decided that I'm going to jump on here and do some lives on a daily basis, well, where I can, right? You know, I'm not going to hold myself to being here every day. But I definitely want to make sure that we're, showing up consistently more than not. And I've got a few big announcements that are happening in our world here with the Laptop Lifestyle Dad space. And I wanted to, share some of these announcements with you. But I also wanted to make sure that we're adding value to the conversation, that it's not just always hype and promotion, that I'm actually leading you with some value to go on with your day. So one of the things that I love talking about at the moment is the whole topic around leadership and, how we can, level up in our leadership journey. AI and social selling and attraction marketing, look, they're all really great tools. But when you bring it all together, it's about helping it to build our influence. And as John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So the reality is this whole conversation, what is it about? Leadership, yeah? So for those of you who don't know, I'm a Tasmanian. I live down here in Tasmania, Australia. Proud father of 3 amazing boys. Been on this journey for 16 years. absolutely love this life, live this life, and breathe this life, and everything in between. I have a role there with the Los Angeles Tribune. I have my own coaching and mentor business under the Laptop Lifestyle Dads. We've got a done-for-you agency that we do our marketing for our clients. And also, I'm a corporate trainer for a network marketing company as well. So one thing that ties everything together is this HeroMakers conversation. And today, this is a big one because we're going to announce what we're doing moving forward here in this conversation. So I want to talk about the HeroMakers movement that we're launching. I also want to talk about season 3 for the Laptop Lifestyle Dad Show. It's about to kick off as well, really tying this whole HeroMakers conversation. But before we get into all of that promotion, all of that hype, I want to drop some serious value here. You know, real leadership lessons, real leadership gold and wisdom that I'm learning. And I just want to pass that on to you as well to help you to lead better, to live better, to keep your vision strong no matter what's happening around you. This is what sets us apart from great leaders, from good leaders. See, this sets the expectation, on the journey for our people to follow. So let's get into it. I really believe when it comes to leadership, those who can navigate this gap are the ones that are great leaders. And this gap I'm talking about is where you are now and where you're going. This gap, it invites, it lives in the tension, right? And most people will either feel it or fear it, or even try to rush through it with quick fixes. I've been that person. I'm guilty of doing that. Great leaders, and where I'm learning to mature in this space as well, is they hold this gap. They hold this tension for their people, and they create bridges in this conversation for people to cross this bridge to get to the other side. See, they sit in this tension and they make this a creative space. This is about holding space. See, John Maxwell talks about this as the law of navigation. See, anyone can steer the ship, right? But it takes a leader to chart the course. In other words, anyone can go sail the ship when the seas are calm, but a true leader, they will hold steady. They will hold firm in the storms. Holding space is part of this whole conversation. It's not about reacting to every wave that comes your way or every gale that blows through the storm. It's about keeping the hands on the wheel, keeping the vision that comes into this place and keeping that part of the journey. And it's about making sure that we steer through the storms. I love what Zig Ziglar has to say on this conversation too. Zig Ziglar would dive into it when he was here, and he would unpack when you've got a strong enough why, like you understand your purpose, you understand your mission, you understand your why, you find the how. This is about living a purposeful and a powerful life. When you find this type of why, you won't panic in this gap. This strong why is like an anchor. It'll keep you from drifting. It'll keep you from rushing when things get tough. So reinforcing this type of why, and normally I find in this type of why, it's not about your own personal why. It's the why people would want to work with you. Why would people want to follow you? It's this type of why that a great leader can step in and hold space for and not get lost in the distraction and the noise. I love how Brian Tracy unpacks this as well. It's talking about clarity of vision. Brian Tracy would say clarity accounts for probably 80% of success and happiness in our day-to-day. The lack of clarity is responsible for more frustration and underachievement than anything else that you can put your finger on. See, confused mind will take no action, but if you give that person clarity and direction, get out of the way. I've seen it personally time and time and time again. See, you cannot hold space if you don't have a crystal clear vision of where you're heading and who you're taking with you. The clearer this picture is, the clearer you can articulate this picture to your people, the clearer your goal is, it's easier to get to. This is where great leaders will stay calm in this gap between the now and the then, because they understand the importance of where they're going. They have a vivid, clear picture that's painted for them in their mind, and they're communicating that constantly to their team. That's what great leaders do, right? And the trick here is just to avoid avoid anxiety and uncertainty. But those are things that are going to come along. Avoid, uncertainty and anxiety. They're the waves that come crashing. They're the blows that come blowing, right? So it's our job as great leaders to hold that clarity, to hold that vision, to steer the ship through. I love what Bob Proctor used to say. Focus on want, not fear. Bob Proctor, he taught that holding space isn't just about the waiting around. It's continually creating. It's continually moving forward. It means keeping your mind and energy focused on what you want, not what you fear. He often used to advise us, begin the habit of thinking only about what you want. I was on a call with Alexander Oxford, who's a student of Bob Proctor's in this space. And one of the things that he shared with us on a call today is it's not about faking it till you make it. It's about being it until you become it. I loved how he's framed that. In other words, if you hold the image of your goal firmly and you start moving towards it instead of accidentally sabotaging yourself by worrying about it, this will help you to move forward through these storms and hold space in this tension as well. So this is about encouraging you to focus on your thoughts and the desired outcomes during the uncertain times, in the good times as well. I love what Tony Robbins unpacks in this space, about energy flows to certainty. This is about that law of vibration conversation. People talk about manifestation, but we don't talk about enough of the certainty of the faith conversation. Faith plus actions is where we'll get this certainty come from. Energy flows to that certainty. Tony Robbins will say in this space, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're focused on the drama, if you're focused on the waves of uncertainty and anxiety and stress, I'm guilty of doing this. I used to do it in the past. I used to catastrophize everything around me. Look at it in mountains out of molehills. I learned the art of breath prayer, focusing on something higher than me, a bigger power, focusing on Jesus in this case, focusing on that type of certainty and leaning in to learning how to be, grateful of who I am and self-worth, that self-identity, that self-love conversation. So I could learn how to lead myself through my own emotions and then go and help others to do the same thing. What does that sound like? It sounds like discipleship, right? Well, discipleship is leadership. And so if you are as a leader, hold space with this type of certainty, just like the great leaders of the biblical times did, Paul, Jesus, Peter, John, what they all had in common is they were able to really focus on this certainty because of their faith that they had in that higher power with Jesus. This is about making those visions become real and staying sure and steady and giving everyone around you permission to believe in that goal too. This is the beauty of, I really believe, this whole journey of discipleship, renewing our mind and restoring our heart and having this conversation to go towards a certainty, which is, heaven here on earth, but it's also in eternity. That is the whole faith conversation wrapped up, is it not? So when you tie all this together and you focus on your emotional state and you help your team to come into this space of certainty and flow into this, it's amazing what can actually happen when you work together as that one heart, one mind, one spirit. My mentor, Joseph McClendon, always talks about this emotional buying conversation. He's also one of Tony Robbins' partners on stage with Unleash. If you ever seen anything with Tony Robbins, you've probably seen Joseph McClendon. He's a beautiful friend and mentor in my inner circle right now. And he talks about emotional and energy all the time. See, people don't buy into plans. They buy into belief. Maxwell said this well. People buy the leader before they buy the vision. If you're holding space with confidence and passion, your team will buy into that too, because they will follow you if you can stand firm and stand fast. I remember watching Pirates, what was it, that show, Pirates of the Caribbean, and he had tattooed on his knuckle, stand fast, or something along those lines. Correct me if you understand where I'm going with this, right? It's about standing firm holding space with confidence and passion in this space, in this gap, in this tension. See, your people will buy into your plan, your certainty, and this will become contagious. This is about that emotional state, the vibration and raising the bar and being the thermostat, not the thermometer. See, leaders, we need to set the tone for our people to follow through, right? So here are some practical steps on how you can learn how to up-level your skill set in this space. And holding space in the action, holding space in the good seasons and in the tough seasons. Focus on vision. Get really crystal clear on where you're going, why you're going there, and who you're taking with you. You've got to keep this end picture vivid. So like it's already in reality. You've got to be able to see it before you believe it. I believe it before you see it type sort of conversation. This is about writing it down, describing it often, get into that space where you can hear it, taste it, feel it. Brian Tracy calls this about visualization and visualizing the goal repeatedly. When your team can see it as well as you do, and they can see the destination as clearly as you do, it's easier to navigate the journey, especially in the storms. So great leaders, what they'll also do is keep calm presence. It's about, keeping that energy, that vibration, moving forward with that one heart, one mind, right? And this is something that I'm learning to grow in. I'm nowhere near perfect at, but I know where my weaknesses are and my strengths are because I've been intimate with myself in this journey. And learning to keep that calm presence, modeling calm that you want to see, like being the leader that you wish that you had. When challenges hit, we don't mirror panic or chaos. Instead, we become the confidence. Like it's like almost a duck, right? You're calm on top, but underneath the duck's running 100 miles an hour or whatever it looks to do. A leader stays cool, right? And these are all biblical principles as well. You can find it in the Bible, in that space where I think of, Proverbs, where, quick to anger are foolish, but those who still calm are where we mature in that leadership. Very badly paraphrased, but you understand where I'm going with this. So it's about keeping the confidence. A leader will stay cool even in the signals with the team. And basically, when you look to the captain of the ship and he's in the middle of the storm and he's focused on the job at hand, it's basically sending that vibration, we've got this. It's about taking breath and responding, not reacting, and this is about strategic patience as well. Another area that I'm personally working on. Excuse me, I've got the hay fever. So learning to be strategic in our patience is a really big skill as leaders to develop in this space. Holding steady while taking action. Holding space, it's not a passive thing. It's not necessarily a waiting thing. It's actually what we probably look at calling active patience. It's about continuing to make progress with the small, with the aligned steps towards this common goal, towards the vision. It's not about rushing towards it like a bull in a china shop. And this is where I need to learn to grow in this space as well. And some of the things that have tripped me up in the past is because I have rushed in. It's not rushing out of decisions, out of anxiety, out of stress. It's going into that with that calm, trusting the process, trusting the time, and I feel like this is one area where a lot of great leaders are really mature in. It's something that I'll freely admit that I'm learning to mature in. It's about empowering others too, right? When we invite your team into the vision, we're going into the law of buy-in. People hate being sold to, but we all love to buy and we all love to follow great leaders. See, great leaders hold space for others, not just for themselves. It's about encouraging your people to contribute ideas, solutions towards the goal. I just think of the scene of the captain on the ship, right, with his first mate beside him, and he's got his lieutenants beside him as well, and they're going through the storm, right? There's do or die, it's life or death conversation, and yet the captain is there, he's calm, he's standing firm in that space. And the first mate and the lieutenants, they're all feeding him back information, and it's the captain who's making the decisions for the best, the best outcome for the ship to get through the storm, right? Because of his experience and his wisdom. See, only one of these scenes will ease other people's anxiety. When the captain is sure, when the captain is standing firm, then people will ease their own anxiety and they'll follow that captain, right? Because here's the thing, when people feel involved and in control, they take ownership of the conversation as well. But it also keeps everyone focused on the one future, the one mind, the one spirit, the one heartbeat, rather than present on all the difficulties around us. That's right. We've got a job to do. Let's get through it. Right. So that is, I wanted to talk about holding space in the gap, in the tension. And I find that's a very valid leadership lesson to really unpack. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate your feedback. That's fire. So drop a 1 in the comments for me if this is speaking to your heart. Because I think, this whole leadership conversation, this HeroMakers conversation is one that we need to have more of. This is where iron sharpens iron, right? Where we can really support each other. Thank you, Louise. I really appreciate you. Guys, I've only been on this journey 16 years. And the only difference between me and you is I'm just a little bit further down the path that you are. But I know people have been on this journey for 30, 40, 50 years. And the only difference between me and them is how far down the path they are. We can all learn from each other, right? We can all be guided, or we're being guiding. And so this is where I think we can get rid of our ego and we can just look at this whole conversation around leadership. I'm not talking about positional leadership. I'm not talking about network marketing, ranks type leadership. I'm talking about, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, the greats, that type of leadership. When you look back, other people are following you because they're on board with your mission and your vision. And this is why I chose to plant my flag with Finance Pro, with Joshua Phelps and the corporate team, because their vision was big enough for me to fit my vision inside their vision. And I'm all in with Finance Pro. Has it been a bumpy ride on the launch? You better believe it. Has any launch I've ever been a part of been bumpy? Of course it has. It's the law of gravity. It's inevitable to happen. We set out, and great captains, great leaders, they can set through these storms. They can keep you moving forward. And I love that. What's what Joshua Phelps and the team are doing. We've got some great products coming down the pipeline as well. We've got the Freedom Pro card, which is going to be a solution for people in the crypto space to be able to help them to convert their crypto into real world currency. Well, I should say fiat currency, not real world, wrong words. But you know what I mean? So it's about getting past the hoops and the handles to be able to go spend our crypto at the restaurant, at the movie theater, wherever we want to, and be able to be empowered and equipped and not have the big banks trying to control us and giving us that freedom. I think Freedom Pro is going to be a brilliant card and a solution to solve that. So I'm putting it through its paces at the moment. I'll be completely transparent. I'm going through it and I'm testing it out. And I'm encouraging people who want to get in the early days to come and explore that with us to see if it's a fit for them. But see, I'm on board with Finance Pro because I'm not about building businesses or building products. I'm about building people. And I love that's what Josh and the team are all about as well, and giving us the tools and the place, the community for us all to thrive, to go and leverage the simplest comp plan I've ever seen. Real world products that are solving real world problems in that space to be able to unlock that, that leverage conversation. If I could save a bit of money on the journey and transfer my spending, great, I'm all for that. But if I could go and lock arms and run with the same runners and build on that, I'm all for that. So I've jumped on Texas as well, for this very, very reason. See, now for me, it's not jumping on different opportunities. For me, it's about locking arms with people who want to go create that freedom purpose life. That purpose-driven life and that freedom that comes with that. And I get to be in a space where I get to educate, where I get to empower, where I get to mentor, where I get to share the wisdom and the things that have helped me along that journey. And things like Texit and things like Finance Pro and even the Laptop Lifestyle Dad's coaching business. These are just vehicles that I choose to facilitate this conversation to drive people to the end destination. See, my mission is very clear. It's to take frustrated affiliate network marketers and aspiring coaches and book authors and podcasters, the people who have got a real gift to share to the world and have an impact to the world, but don't know necessarily how to navigate the tech space. and how to, navigate the communication space and the branding space. So we're on a mission here to take those frustrated affiliate network marketers and transform them into laptop lifestyle legends, teaching them how to master this leadership conversation, teaching them how to master social selling and AI and, the customer value journey and the marketing journey and the communication journey, and teaching you how to become the leader that you wish that you had, helping you on the journey. Teaching these fundamentals and these foundational skill sets to up level our lives so that you can go live a life by design that's purpose driven and one that frees you up with the opportunity to make memories with your family. And obviously we'll throw a few dad jokes on the way. See, that's the mission that I'm on. And I encourage you to find that type of mission that is your calling, that's your heart, that is your purpose, because then you get to align and choose the products, the vehicles that you put on your shelf. Because all of this is about putting the right products on the right shelf at the right time to help you to go achieve your mission. See, when the mission matters most, it's not about the transactional conversations. You don't get attached. You run with those who want to run with you, with the one heart, with the one mind, with the one spirit. And you go run well. And we all go achieve those goals together. So we've got to build visions and missions that are big enough for others to fit inside theirs. I love that. That's what Bobby's done with Texan. I love that's what Joshua Felt's done with Finance Pro. And I love what Michael Silvers and Mo Rock have done with the Los Angeles Tribune. Their visions are big enough for me to go, yep, I want to partner with you. I want to collaborate with you because I can see how me in that partnership could go and have a greater impact. We go a lot further together, right? So we've got the Los Angeles Tribune. We've got our Storyteller Summit coming up on September 6th, 9 a.m. Sydney time. It's going to be a 4 or 5 hour show. And I've got my speakers lined up. We've got Joseph McClendon. I may have a rock star. I can't share the celebrity's name yet, but I'm looking at bringing a celebrity to the conversation. One that you all know. I mentioned this name. Everybody knows him. He's in the Hall of Fame of rock and roll and a few others. So I haven't got it confirmed yet. I'm hoping to get that one confirmed, but I can't wait to be able to make that announcement. We'll have Joseph McClendon there coaching on storytelling. We have a few others there that are coaching on storytelling. I've got Lefty Williams, who is a former Harlem Globetrotter, coming along. He's going to be launching his book and talking about his story and teaching the art of storytelling in that space. We've got a few other friends. I've got my new friend, Dr. J.M. McIntyre, who's known as the Hood Motivator. He's coming on to speak to us in that space. And so we're going to be running a few of these summits in partnership with the Los Angeles Tribune, as I'm the Australian ambassador for them. So it's going to be hosted by the Los Angeles Tribune. I'm going to be supporting this conversation and as in their leadership team to be able to pull together these summits. So on our event plan right now, I can tell you we've got the Story Sellers Summit. Denny Walsh and I are going to have a marketing show, Ask Denny and Jeff Questions type show. That's coming up. We've also got the Podcast Power Summit coming up. So all about podcasting and interviewing awesome people in the podcast arena. So if you know a podcaster that would like to be a part of these summits, make sure that you reach out. Let's have a conversation, see if you're a fit, and then let's get it going. And then we've got others, one coming up down the future as well. I think we've got about 15 summits between now and the end of the year. Busy. So lots of coming down the road. We had that AI Business Summit that we hosted a few weeks ago with Jonathan Mast and Austin Armstrong, Jeff J. Hunter, Melissa Mitchell, Kanji Lowe, just to name a few, Jonathan Foltz. That was a pretty awesome summit. So we've got that one in the pipeline. And we had loads of awesome conversations with that, made some new friends out of that. Shout out to Bruno and Stacy from over there in Philly. So made some really awesome new friends, and Jane Slack-Smith as well. And so we're just in this space now where we're looking to collaborate with HeroMakers. Hence, this is the next announcement that I want to share with you. So I've currently got a Facebook group called the Laptop Lifestyle Dads, AI and social selling for network and affiliate marketers. So I'm going to rebrand that group. And this is Jeff Ross. What's got me here is great. It's been good, but this is going from that good to great conversation. So this is the evolution of the story. We're going to rebrand that group over the coming weeks, and we're going to call it the HeroMakers community. So we're going to basically collaborate with other hero makers to be able to share their wisdom, their experience, their lessons. This is going to be a free Facebook group for our audience. And we're very much going to host a few of our own summits in there as well, and interviews. And we're going to basically redo the podcast for the Laptop Lifestyle Dad Show. Still going to keep its same brand and same name, but I'm going into season 3, which is going to be the Hero Makers season, to create some awesome content for this Hero Makers community. So I see a leadership track. It's very clear. Three leaders. So we got our aspiring leader. Aspiring leader is someone who's figuring stuff out. They're figuring out their strengths. They're figuring out their weaknesses, their toxic traits, and their gifts to the world. They're figuring out what Jim Collins talks about, ikigai spot. Their genius zone, their zone of genius, right? So an aspiring leader is someone who's figuring that out. A hero on the story is someone who's figured that out. They're now building systems around it all and creating key systems like a turnkey business model. So it's not reliant on them per se, and they're building out they've got some runs on their board and they're looking at scaling up. And then we've got the hero makers of the conversation. The hero makers are the ones who have got, their own hero story. They've got a lot of wins on the board. They've got their systems already sorted out. And now they're all about legacy and multiplication and duplication, like the discipleship journey, really. So that's the hero makers. So we're going to be creating this awesome community. And I'm looking for collaborators to come collaborate with us, because I know that I'm great at what I do. When it comes to helping you to find your voice, elevate your voice, amplify your voice, and leverage your voice, I'm one of the best in the world at that game. I could have this uncanny ability now to use the experience or the wisdom that I've gained to help people to find their sweet spot, to find their purpose-driven life. Daryl's on here. Just ask, quite a few of my other, people that have worked with us in that space. And so we have the ability to be able to help you to find your customer value journey. But when you find your voice, this is how you go deep and create that purpose-driven life and raise above the crowd. It's a very noisy world out there. There are a lot of people teaching AI, social selling, attraction marketing, and I can do that very well too. But this is what makes me different. This is my, intellectual property, if you will. So voice is actually a framework, and that's, it's a trademark framework that we use to build all of our signature courses around. You can see here on the ticker below, we're currently building out our 30-day content marketing mastery voice sprint. Voice stands for values, it stands for origin story, it stands for influence, it stands for clarity, and it stands for expression. And we do a deep dive in that space to be able to help you to find your voice. There are a lot of people out there who can teach content marketing mastery, but we do it with heart, right? It's AI plus your heart equals your superpower. But I know that I'm the best in the world in that space. But I also know that there are great people out there like Dr. Joseph McClendon who talk about, NLP and emotional resonance. We've got Alexander Oxford, who we just had in our inner circle there. He's great at what he does in Australia. I've got people like, on the aspiring leader journey, Craig Whitney and Bronwyn Holm and Zoe and a few others in that space that can add to this conversation and create a robust depth conversation here. With my connections with the Los Angeles Tribune, I'm sure I can bring in some of the top 1% in the personal development, in the media and the entertainment space. And I will bring them on our podcast and we'll do the interviews in the Hero Makers community. So we've got people all around the globe from all walks of shapes of life to all industries to really support this conversation. So this is the evolution of Jeff Ross going from good to great. And then I'll still do my thing with the Laptop Lifestyle Dads products and what I do with Finance Pro and what I do with the Los Angeles Tribune. But this Hero Makers community, the best way I could describe it is think of this as the umbrella. You got Jeff Ross as the knob on the umbrella. Yeah, I just called myself a knob. So you got the umbrella here. Jeff is on the top here. And then you've got all of these other things underneath the umbrella. I'm inviting you to come put your thing under this umbrella called the Hero Makers community. So this is how we start to create a true collaborative project. This is collaboration, not competition. It's about serving the community. So keep an eye on this space as we rebrand and we bring in the guidelines and the boundaries and the very clear mission and vision to articulate that. There'll be other products that come off the back of that conversation as well. So we go through this transition, this growth phase is what I'm saying. So Hero Makers community will be launched by the end of August. The podcast for season 3 will be part of that conversation. We've got other signature programs that Dave Miller and Jade Winsley and myself are building out to support this conversation. We've got some really exciting things going on with the Los Angeles Tribune. I can see Ryan Brasford's on this conversation. I know that him and I are talking about, being part of another big show that we're pulling together as well. So we'll see what happens there in that space. But this is where we start to really lock arms and run the race well together, because we can go a lot further together than we can on our own. I actually believe in today's world, when you run arms with quality people, you're not going to go further together. You're actually going to go faster and further together as well. And I'm really excited for the future. The future is very, very bright, and I can't wait to help a lot of people get to the top of the mountain with us. This is how we escape Sucksville. This is how we go to Awesome Town, and this is how we do it together. All right, guys. As you know, I could probably talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles, talking to a deaf dog at the corner of a round table. Try and say that 10 times fast. And I can keep going. I get very passionate about this conversation. But you don't need to hear me ramble on. I've delivered value. I've given you the updates where we're going. I think I've achieved the goal of what I wanted to do for today's Facebook Live. Thank you for your time. Stay caffeinated, stay legendary, and we'll see you on the next one.